What's going on, Canisius community? It's Andy Deyell, Vice President for Institutional Advancement, back with another episode of Conversations with Canisius, our regular Zoom series where we catch up with alums all over the country and check in on what's been going on since their time at 1180 Delaware Avenue. So I'm here today with Roy Vongtama, class of 1992. Roy is an oncologist at UCLA Medical Center, a professional actor, and he owns his own production company, Resident Entertainment. He joins us today from Los Angeles, California. Roy, how are you?
I'm doing well, man. How are you, Andy?
I'm well. I'm well. As I'm looking out my window right now, and I'm knowing that you're in Los Angeles. I bet we're living two very, very different lives weather-wise, but it's going to be okay. I just wanted to. We are trying to connect our alums back with the school and tell their stories and bring them into the classroom in a way that we haven't done before. And so that's, of course, what we're doing today. And why don't you start, Roy, by telling us, and this is, I have the benefit of having talked to you several times over the last few months, and I know a bit about your story, and I can promise our viewers that it's an incredible story. But take us through your time at Canisius High School and now, and the incredible journey you've been on and how you've made some of these decisions. And it's
Sure.
in my opinion, it's one of the more singular stories I've heard. So
Sure, cool.
Take us back.
All right. Well, when I finished Canisius, I went to University of Pennsylvania in Philadelphia. That actually, I didn't tell you last time, was an interesting decision because I actually got into Georgetown. I got into an 8-year medical program at Georgetown, and I didn't get into. They didn't have something like that at Penn. And my mom's like, you got to take the 8-year guaranteed doctor gig. And I was like, no, I think I'm gonna go on my own at Penn. And my first semester at Penn, I got a 2.2. And my mom's like, you're never gonna be a doctor. You screwed up. Call Georgetown. Get yourself back. And anyway, I was like, no, I'm gonna stay and I'm gonna tough it out. And what's gonna happen is gonna happen. Long story short was I ended up pulling my GPA all the way back to a respectable one, got into UB for medical school, came back to UB, did 4 years of medical school there, then did 1 year of training back in Philadelphia again, and then did my residency at UCLA, UCLA Medical Center in radiation oncology. That's also an interesting story because when they interviewed me, he said, I know you have an interview at MD Anderson, which is the best in the world for cancer. Why do you want to come to UCLA? And I told him, well, you want to know the truth? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, well, I want to be an actor. And he looked at me like that. And I was like, uh-oh. He's like, I wanted to be an actor. If you come here, I'll protect your time. You'll get to do what you need to do and what you want to do. And as long as you comply our requirements for residency, I'll protect you. And you can, so I was able to start training at night for acting and doing theater and getting odd acting jobs. And then when I finished my residency, which is a 5-year effort, I ended up not getting a full-time job as a physician and just was doing part-time work as a doctor and continued acting. And I booked my first film out, and that's about 15 years ago. So I never got a full-time job doctoring. I've just been running my own production company, acting, auditioning, and doctoring, and doing that. And also last year I wrote a book called Healing Before You're Cured. So I'm really doing many different things.
Many different things. So tell me a little bit more about Resident Entertainment. So this is your production company. Like, I guess it's not enough that you're a doctor and you're an actor. You decided to, found a production company. What kind of things do you guys produce, and what kind of projects are you working on?
Yeah, I'm working on, what we do is based on true story material. So if I find a story that I really like and I really feel it would work as a film, then I approach the writing team and option the project, and whether it's a short film or a feature film. So far we did 5 shorts, all won multiple awards, and then we did a feature film that came out. It's on Amazon Prime, came out last year, called After the Rain, and it's based on a true story about a person with cancer, which really is close to what I do anyway. And so I act in that film too, not as the lead, but because I was also producing the film. That's the last thing we've done. And then recently I just we just produced a 5-part spiritual series called Journey to Lake Shrine. And it's a 10-acre walking meditation garden here in LA. So it's for children, and trying to introduce kids to more of a spiritual way of being, especially now in this time. It's been really a crazy year. And so we're really proud of that work as well.
Great. So take us back to your time at Canisius. How did your time at Canisius High School prepare you sort of for the journey that you have been on and your career now?
You know, when you're young, you're a teenager, I don't know if it's like a conscious process, but what I've seen of myself since that time is that I really look for role models that I got exposed to initially at Canisius in my memory, where I can remember, I remember Father Tunney. Like, I'm like, why would a guy want to be a priest like this? And I remember thinking things like that. And then him having us memorize poems, and I'm like, why am I doing this? And just seeing who he was, and also seeing a lot of the lay member teachers like Mr. O'Connor. I remember him teaching me. And then also I used to see him having a side job at the Peace Bridge, and how humble he was, and he would do both. And I'd be like, oh, why, if he's a teacher, why is he, working at the Peace Bridge? And I asked him, and he's like, I like to meet new people. It's a fun job. And I was like, man, these guys are really interesting. They don't approach life the way normal, quote unquote, normal people do. And I really have looked at that to continue those relationships. And so I think that example of like a spiritual man is something that's been really strong and very prevalent in my own life since that time. So I think that started with Canisius, really.
That's great. And Canisius, of course, is not just about academics, right? So one of the big parts of Canisius High School is this Ignatian Formation that we all go through, and learning about the Jesuits, being a man for others, and the Ignatian way. Mm-hmm. How is that present in your life today?
Yeah, it's really, again, it's one of those things that you kind of get exposed to from the environment. And what I like about Canisius is it's not like they smash you over the head with concepts. It's kind of there, and you pick it up as you go. And one of the big things that I've really taken with me is the love and to serve. So a lot of what I do now is based on kind of what I started learning there. I really like to serve the community. I like to, I mentor young people. I've been a big brother to like 7 or 8 young guys that I've started in their teens and now in their 20s, and they still call me. That's really big. And then even like this meditation series, we really got involved in this project to really help push people toward an inner life, and so I think it's really important to see that. And also even in the world, if you look now, like the Pope, he's Jesuit, and a lot of the people I see that kind of take a strong stance in the world, kind of contrarian in a very positive way, are Jesuits, and they stand firm in what they believe. And I think that's a wonderful example and something to be proud of as an alumni of Canisius.
Absolutely. So what kind of advice would you give to, ideally a lot of our students are going to see this, young alums, we're going to, send this out on social media. If you're a youngster, just starting to make your way in the world, either in high school, college, or right after college, what advice would you give to a student as you reflect upon sort of your life and your career?
Yeah. I mean, if I was talking to myself, I probably wouldn't have listened to myself. So that's number one, is to like, learn from other people's examples if you can. If you're not prideful like I was when I was a young guy, it's good to have your own willpower and initiative, but also understand that it's important to really respect people who came before you. But that being said, there's a balance to really carving your own path. If you have something inside of you that you really, really want to do, like for me, my whole family is doctors, and I was trying to find a way to become an artist within what was acceptable to my family, and I thought I did it by getting an MD degree and then started acting, but still they didn't like it too much. So and I had a lot of resistance, and people told me, you can't be both. You can't be a doctor and an actor. It's impossible. No one does that. It's impossible. And so you hear a lot of those messaging things to your life, and sometimes it makes your dreams go away. But I always think dreams come from God. They're put in you, it's not like you came up with it. It just, you thought of it. It's like it's in you, and if there's a fire in you, a passion to do something in your life, whether it's, you know, being an actor, or if it's being a teacher, or if it's being a priest, or if it's being a monk, or if it's being, you know, anything, a business owner, it's really important to listen to that and actually follow that, because that's what's going to make you successful. Because decades down the line, which I am now, unfortunately, looking at a couple decades down the line, it's like what keeps me going is that fire for what I believe in and what I'm passionate about. And the things that people told me to do, I don't do those things anymore. I only do the things that actually that resonate with me, you know, because then you're going to put in the extra time, you're going to put in the extra effort. I don't like to use the word work, because I don't work. Work means to me that I'm doing something I don't like to do, and that I never do that. I only do things that I believe in, that I feel passionate about, that are organic to me, and I live my life that way. So that would be my advice to young people, is to really find that. And if you don't know what it is now, that's totally fine. You
Right.
can still follow the path, but when it comes, you got to listen to it. You got to listen to it.
That's great advice. That's great. We've done a lot of looking back, you know, in the first few questions. And
Yeah.
before, you know, we sign off, how about, like, what's ahead for Roy Vongtama? Like, what do you have planned for 2021? What are some of the projects you're working on now?
Yeah, one of the big things I'm doing now, Andy, is an integrative approach to health. So I'm doing a website. People can check it out now. There's it's just getting released. It's called mdroy.com, and it's physical, mental, emotional, spiritual. It's based around the concepts I have in my book, Healing Before You're Cured. So I'm really trying to get that information out there on social media, also making videos, creating courses for people. That's one of the directions I'm really doing. I'm really pushing. And in terms of the creative side, on the acting side, I have a bunch of right now during this weird kind of pandemic time, I'm doing a couple Zoom-based theater projects. So I'm acting in a couple of those as well to try out a new interactive modality. And then hopefully, you know, doing something bigger with the studios too. So that's really what I'm looking at right now.
Well, this has been great. I thank you for taking a few moments of your time and updating us on your story. Keep us updated. I hope we stay in contact. And it was really good visiting with you. And I know the alums are going to love this video. So thanks very much, Roy.
Sure, of course.
All right, be well. We'll talk soon.
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.